Hello, and welcome to the 13th episode of Last Attempt, a World of Warcraft Guildcast. I'm your host, Squirrelthug, and joining me today are just Templar Ivanhoe, which is one of our normal guest hosts, and we have two guests today, Daddy and Kane. Both of them are from our guild. Daddy actually heals sometimes. I can never keep track, but Kane, you're usually DPSing. Um, So, in this week, there's been a lot of bugs. So, we're going to go over a few of them and just more broadly speaking, just kind of cover some of the news around that. Blizzard actually put out an apology for all of the bugs, um, which kind of points to how badly they dropped the ball, perhaps this time around. But also, with that, they've actually fixed a lot of them within this last week pretty quickly. But again, the argument would be that they waited till they launched it and they shouldn't have. So, um,
I will save my points for that part of the discussion.
yeah. So, well, on that note, Kane, what have you been up to in this last week in World of Warcraft?
Trying to hit the 14 Resil Keystone level and get up there in my IO. And I've been raiding on Classic, keeping that train rolling, trying to get my attunements done. I've had to be really on the grind set to hit the last few revered I needed for heroics. And, well, you'll come to learn about me, I fucking hate questing. And getting the attunements requires questing. It's really not a good time.
Do you
But
read
I
the
love
quest text?
TBC, so I'll do it. Oh yeah, I
Do you
read the
ever?
quest text because it tells you where to go.
Okay. Well, I mean, like the lore. I always think that Blizzard has done a really good job with the
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 lore is
stories in each
good,
section.
but I know it is a thing, and right now
Oh,
I gotta help some dudes boars because they're too stupid to stay away from the flayers killing them.
I mean, they are boars.
Right? Well, the dude has a pen and he's not keeping them in. Like, I don't understand the man's setup. But either way, you have to do this, and then he gives you the word. I mean, anyone playing TBCA will know what I'm talking about. It's the Cipher of Damnation quest you have to do before you can do the Tempest Keep attunement.
I don't think I've ever played TBC that far in.
Well, Phase 2 is coming quickly in May, so you got to get it done because you have to kill raid bosses as well. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about the legendary TBC attunement process somewhere just in playing the game. But basically, you also have to kill the bosses unless people run them once the phase switch is over, so you kind of got to do it now. And there's only 2 or 3 lockouts since the announcement was a week or two ago, I think, before the phase switch is over. So I've been kind of in a rush because, I don't like questing, so I've been slacking.
Yeah, okay, so it's definitely a grind. Were the attunements in TBC a lot harder than the attunements that they had presented players with in Classic? I think there was attunements for like Blackrock Spire, right? Like upper or like getting into the raid, and then maybe
Their
attunements for the bug raid.
difficulty would probably be, I'm gonna say the difficulty goes to TBC just for the fact that some of those heroic dungeons, especially if you don't know all the tricks, are particularly difficult. But at this point in Classic, basically everybody you're playing with is the people who learned and know those tricks. So if assuming you learned them, the heroics are easier now, but just in raw comparison terms, the heroics are probably harder than those classic dungeons. But you'd easily find people who would debate me on that point, right?
Okay.
But anyway, so it's just more of a complicated web of things you have to do, and some of them don't seem related. It's not so much challenging as tedious, but a lot of it is carried by nostalgia these days. The ones in Classic are more, you just got to kind of run the dungeon and follow through kind of a singular quest line. Whereas if you didn't have a guide, finding the Cipher of Damnation quest is not likely, not by accident. Someone would have to point you to it and be like, you have to do all this, and then this quest opens up to attune to this raid that you want to do.
Yeah, okay. Do you use add-ons to help out with that?
Oh, there's a ton of different add-ons you can use. I personally don't really, because I just follow the Wowhead guide. But there's add-ons for tracking if you have the attunements complete and all that. It seems like overkill to me.
And Daddy, what have you been up to this last week in World of Warcraft?
I've been just trying to grind my keys, trying to get as high as I can. Now that I've heard you can get the saddle if you can get up in the top percentage, so hit 3,000 and just gonna keep going from there if I can.
I think you just have to hit 3,400, right? You don't have to be in the top 1%.
Yeah, the saddle's at 3,400.
So what's the
I don't feel
highest?
like
Oh, I'm
34
sorry,
is
go ahead.
unobtainable. I just don't feel like it's unobtainable. I think it's doable, so I'm gonna keep going. Especially with the guild we have, I think we can get there.
I think a lot of people have said this season has been really easy, I guess,
Yeah,
and that could have been from when we started the season, right?
you were kind of cutting out.
Oh, sorry. But the way that we got Mythic Plus after we had heroic dungeons for a little bit, and maybe the gearing path, or the fact that Blizzard probably tuned everything down because they didn't want everyone to be mad at them about the add-ons.
It feels easier than last season, but we'll just have to we'll have to see if they make it harder or they nerf us again. Or
What's the highest keys that you've hit so far?
right now, I'm struggling with a few 14s. I almost keyed a 14 earlier, but our healer, Caverns is hard. The healer right at the end, and I mean, it was by like 2 minutes. It was rough. Right there though, but
You need all 16s to hit the 3,400, right? Like, is that the way that works for that?
I haven't looked into it. I'm not sure.
that sounds alright.
Somewhere around there, to be sure.
I heard somebody mention it, but I didn't do the math or look into it, so I can't say for sure. Um, but it seemed right, you know. So that's interesting. How do you feel about 16s?
Feel like I can get there eventually. I mean, I feel like I can do 14s right now. My DPS is high enough. Like, I feel like shamans have great resources to be able to stun and to interrupt. So, like, I feel like I'll get there soon, especially when I replace the last bits of my heroic gear. But I think the struggle is just finding a group that can all do it together. I mean, that's the fun of it, I guess. So,
Well,
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, you mentioned. Oh, sorry, can you go ahead?
I was gonna say pugs are a much more challenging environment in a
Mhm.
way than running with people because if you can do 14s with a pug, you can probably do like 17s with a dedicated team.
Yeah.
Because the extra communication does a lot. Everybody's trying to hit the same level.
Pretty much have pugged all my high keys, but I think I did one with our group and then I did one with another friend group. But I've kind of just had really good success with pugs because I feel like once we all get in Discord and get to talking, we get distracted and somebody messes up, and it doesn't feel like everyone's trying their hardest sometimes because we're kind of relaxed as a friend group, in the guild.
I was gonna ask, how how easy I imagine it's been for you to get into pugs. Your class brings a lot of utility, and sometimes there's like a meta, right? That people are always like reaching for. Do you know if shamans are like on that list of like must-haves?
I feel like I get took pretty quick, and I feel like that I can fill a group pretty quickly too.
Heroism will get you invites
Yeah,
almost like just by
How many classes
default
can do that?
almost.
evokers.
Evoker, shaman, mage, hunter. I
Mhm.
think that's it.
Damn,
I think that's it.
that's a lot. And we've got like 13 classes now, but that's a pretty good chunk. It's
Like
Mhm.
not.
I think the meta right now is technically there's like a physical comp meta which you don't see as often, but the standard meta seems to be Unholy Death Knight, Demonology Warlock, Augmentation Evoker, Brewmaster Monk, and I think Resto Druid.
Yep, that sounds right.
But Shaman is very competitive for that slot. And that opens you up to run like Holy Paladin, which is also
Mhm.
very strong.
Nice. So, well, hopefully our guild groups get there eventually. I know I was struggling with the healing, and then I changed up some talents because I started, reading them after the patch, and yeah, there were just some changes I definitely needed to make, and doing a lot better. But I still think I don't know. I feel more comfortable in like even just 12s and 13s with more gear.
Yeah.
I now have mostly like heroic gear, hero gear, but it's so easy to get mythic gear now. I mean, if basically if the mythic piece in your vault is not something that you want, just get the void core and then just go run tens, and then you're gonna get it. Like I looked at the table for Pit of Sauron, which is what I've spent two void cores on already, and if I just run through that table, I'll get a bunch of the slots that like I need. There'll be a mythic piece. I can catalyze them if I don't like the stats, which some of them are okay, and I am gonna plan to catalyze some of the other ones, but like really quickly in just a few weeks, I think I'm gonna be like fully mythic out, even if I get nothing from raid.
I think that's why they've gone with what they've gone with, where the raid trinkets and stuff are as powerful as they are, to kind of keep you motivated to want to get those raid items as well as the keys. I myself lucked out. I spent the two void cores on Magister's Terrace running tens, like you say, got two items I needed, but still am entitled to the two void core refunds. So I actually just got my two void cores back. So next
Nice.
week, I'm always hoping to get an item I need in the vault because it feels more satisfying, if that makes sense.
Okay,
But
yeah, it
if I
does.
have but if I have to take those void cores next week, I am absolutely going to be able to just pop a weapon or any bis item from a dungeon. I'm just going to have to run it 4 times on a 10, which sucks, but it's really not that big of an ask.
Is it just one dungeon that you're gonna aim for initially with all those tokens?
I need so few items from each dungeon. The one I needed the most from that I counted was Magister's Terrace at 3 potential upgrades. I got two of those, so now every dungeon is just only really has one. I think there's one other dungeon with two, but the weapon damage on a weapon could be greatly valuable, even if it's only that small amount, because we won't be getting the Ascendant cores for weeks. It might make more sense to just get a full mythic weapon now.
Yeah, definitely. Daddy, have you spent your void cores yet?
I have not. I'm just sitting on them, trying
Oh,
to
you're
figure
hoarding
out.
them.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to hoard them. I don't really know. I thought about trying to do Dream Rift again for the gays, but I don't know. I'm just gonna sit on them for a minute.
Do it for
I'm
the
kind of,
gays.
I'm kind of
Dude,
in a good spot with my gear, and
the gays are hot this
I
season.
just have so many trinkets. So
Apparently,
yeah,
dog.
somehow got a lot of my A and S trinkets. So here,
Yeah,
sometimes I
same.
Nice. Those are
need.
eligible to get upgraded
Mm.
in a few weeks when you get that nail hammer completed.
The guild has been very generous with trinkets towards me. Which it's funny that I was suffering from success that first week because
Hashtag.
I was gifted like the Guidon, which is great, huge damage, and then I was gifted the Unbreakable Ancient Heart, again huge surprise. But that first week, I'm like, okay, I got the Guidon. I'm not getting another trinket, right? It's gonna go to somebody else. I pick up the Holy Light Sphere or whatever, the Mythic Skyreach trinket, and it sims under the heroic of those trinkets that I got, and I ended up getting the Unbreakable Heart from um, fuck, the Unbreakable Ancient Heart trinket, the crit trinket. I ended up getting that from the raid, and I was like, okay, shit, this is better. This is more DPS than my Holy Light Sphere, but it ended up by a significant margin. But I'm like, I could have taken a mythic tier item, and I'm like, oh shit. I just found it very amusing.
And Templar, have you spent your void cores? Have you gotten the double or the loot bug?
I haven't spent them at all yet. Waiting till I'm going to try to do M plus tomorrow. Try to get the puzzle box Mythic, and then from there try to go after like the
Where's that
gaze.
at?
The puzzle box is from Algothar Academy.
Okay.
I need
And
the ring from there. Hit me up.
okay, definitely. But puzzle box. Well, the one problem with the gearing is that both Icy Veins and Wowhead are kind of different in terms of what the absolute best trinket is. Some say, or the one says it's puzzle box, and I think it's the Emerald Feather. The other one says it's the heart, like Kane has, as well as the gaze. I think it just really depends on simming. So I'm focusing on the puzzle box first, then going after the gaze and potentially the feather from Belloren. But other than that, just focused on being entrenched in the Shard of Dun Dun mines. Uh, I'm finally gonna be fully caught up with them. I'm trying to do that right now, but it is just such a slog. And hopefully, because I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully that fishing event makes it easier, or at the very least, you know, making me not want to kill myself, because it's just horrible doing it on 4 different characters.
Have you tried the fishing event yet? The diving thing?
Not yet, but I do plan on.
Is it available already?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I think it's in. I think it's in Zolomon, is it not?
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance yet, but uh, I know we're going to talk about it. But the biggest issue, going in this new patch was just simply all the bugs that Blizzard introduced to the add-ons. But once, a couple days after, Tuesday, everything seemed to settle. So it's been interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, on that note, we should just talk about the first news item. That's what we have here is a pretty long list of bugs that has come out since 12.0.5 has launched. But I did also notice that over this week, within a pretty short amount of time, there were quite a bit of hot fixes that had fixed some class bugs and some patches that went out that were, or some fixes that went out for some of the other issues that they had. I know initially there was something wrong with housing. They just disabled the feature altogether. They had brought it back very quickly within a day. Um, there was a lot of class bug fix like bugs. I know some of you had dealt with some of those. Kane, you were on the receiving end of one of those.
15% reduction in overall damage, apparently, yeah.
Oh, that's so much.
Well, yeah, I mean, you said it. I saw Wowhead post 2 charts, but on the first chart they posted talking about the bugs. Unholy had actually gone from somewhere in the mid of the Mythic overall rankings to the absolute bottom. That was a sad sight to see.
Yeah, classes shouldn't move that drastically on any one patch ever.
Ideally not, no. Ideally not. But I mean, ultimately, I didn't really feel them too much.
I saw that there were some fixes. Did that clear it up for you, your class spec?
I mean, we haven't done really any rating or anything since the fixes, and I've been on Classic. But as far as I know, the things are working, but I never really noticed a huge difference because even in keys, I just went from doing a crap ton of damage to a bunch less, but still enough to clear the key. Plus, a lot of the bugs are more random than they were definitive, you will always get them. So, like, you were really likely to get the extension bug, but you weren't but every cast was like 50-50 per mob you summoned if you were going to get the Commander of the Dead bug, right?
Okay.
So it's like there's some RNG. Some pulls you'd be doing really bad, but overall, I mean, you could still. I still did 12s. I still did 10s. I still did a 14.
Have you tried to?
Oh,
No, Daddy. Sorry,
cut out.
cut out again. Yeah, Daddy. Have you tried to play Resto Shaman since the patch released?
I did a key or two with it. It feels really good right now. I know my guildmate who plays Shaman said it just was an unbelievable buff. It was huge. I need to do more keys with it. I feel like I could get into more keys if I would heal too, but I've just had so much fun DPSing lately.
Is it easier rotation? Um, do you just find that it's just like more enjoyable? What is it, enhancement shaman
Yeah.
or?
I think it's just a lot of fun because I can just do so much. Like I said earlier, like I can stun, I can. Oh, I got distracted. I just feel like it's so much. It's just so much fun because you have a lot of AOE. I mean, you're lightning bolting over and over, and it feels like it just builds up. But I just love being able to use totems to stun, and then to be able to wind rush, and like just move around so much. They just I don't know. I just it's gonna be hard for me to come off from shaman if they get a really big nerf or something like that. Elemental's just so fun to me.
That's the opposite of me, because if they fuck around with Unholy Death Knight too much, I'm gone.
You're like, I'm just gonna quit the game.
No, I'll change class.
You go back
Oh,
to rogue?
I'll go to something good. So it depends on if Rogue is good at that time or not.
People speculate they'll get there.
I play my hunter like surprisingly Beastmaster is really good right now, but it's just I'd rather play on the shaman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that's just how I play, because I can play multiple things well with
Oh,
just a little bit of
I
elbow
mean,
grease.
I can play multiple things too. I just don't want to.
Yeah, typically I've been an alcoholic, but I've not I've not had a lot of time to just like level up multiple characters. So I had the rogue that did not do well. I was
I remember that.
actually really disappointed in I mean, I even to the point I think I looked up the number 100% parse for a fight and the rogue that did the top parse did less damage than like one of our mages, and we were, I just it wasn't looking good.
Rogues were and are in a very poor spot. And I really don't like that they ruined the bleed build for assassination. That's also very upsetting. Like, even if that did lots of damage, I still don't think I'd go to it.
I was just playing outlaw, and I still think that the rotation is fun, right? The way that it's implemented and such, it still feels enjoyable. I think it would have been a lot cooler if they kept as much of the cooldown reduction as was in the last season of the War Within. I just felt like my all my abilities came up a lot faster with just my normal rotation. So because you in Outlaw, as you just do things, you just get the cooldown reduction, a few seconds for each one, and it was really fast. And it just felt slow down, and also um, just the changes with Vanish and such. It felt slower, like I couldn't do as much. I don't know, but still similar enough that I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but the most damage I ever saw was when there was a pack and I got to use Blade Flurry. So like, not that great.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, right now, if you want to play Rogue, the spec du jour is Subtlety.
Yeah, which is crazy for PVE. That's like the top performing spec.
It's really
Um,
not that uncommon. Usually at the start of most seasons, Subtlety will be on top because it has more burst, and then as you gear up, Assassination will take over because it scales better. That's pretty much every season of the War Within.
Speaking of alts, Templar, do you have any that you're working on? You been leveling?
Um, Sort of yes and sort of no. Kind of took a bit of a backseat, but the one that I was having fun leveling up that I want to finish is my enhancement shaman. Uh, uh, I know people, especially Kane was saying that all they are is like AoE bursting DPS, which is true. But I know they did some changes,
I
but I
say
haven't
that
really
with
investigated.
much more reverence.
Yeah.
I quite like Enhancement Shaman.
Gotcha. But that being said, I know they did some buffs, so I'm gonna try to see how all of that played out. But I just find it a lot of fun the way it just kind of flows. Um, and I think it's totemic is the main one. I can't remember. But in any event, trying to get her, geared and everything. And now that we have the bonus rolls, that's going to make it a lot easier.
Okay. And I didn't really see any bugs had posted for shaman except like restoration shaman was supposed to get like a little bit more DPS, but then they didn't get it. But was there any bugs that showed up for you? As I know you do. I know you're a prop paladin, but do you ever do like ret or holy or anything else?
Yeah, I definitely do ret for like delves or even, just outside questing, especially once like the first week is done, I'll switch to ret and such. As far as I know, there wasn't any bugs, at least insofar as ret is concerned. I know I didn't run into anything with prot. The only thing I really ran into, and this was for all of us, was the fact that Blizzard made some undocumented changes to add-ons. Um, and that's what caused DBM, for example, to just completely break down. Um, and actually, the developer Mystical OS, who creates and maintains DBM, did a video earlier today breaking down on what was going on and what was happening. Um, One of the things he first said was, first of all, is that since he was running on the newer Macs, and the newer Macs, of course, aren't x86, excuse me, slash x64 based, they're ARM based. There was a bug in WoW that was causing it to basically, once you start it up, it would just immediately crash, and it would crash over and over and over and over ad nauseum. And he was working for 2 days with Blizzard trying to find a solution to it, or even figure out what exactly was going on. And again, it turns out, for somehow or for whatever reason, it was just broken on ARM devices. Um, and as far as the undocumented changes, basically, whenever DBM or any add-on that uses a font is concerned, I'll use DBM for an example. If you would change the font, or that font would change in any sort of capacity, it originally, what WoW add-ons would do, and this is sort of common sense, is that instead of it freaking out, it would be like, let's say a font changed, it would say, okay, well, since the font changed, let's go back to the default font, you know, default settings, etc. You didn't have to hard program that. Well, it turns out for some very strange reason, they changed that undocumented and made it so that whenever a font did change, it just completely broke the add-on. And so again, he had to come up with not only a fix for that specific behavior, but it also caused another behavior, which caused a race condition, which made it so it couldn't detect the font changes as fast as it could or should have. And it's just kind of a real big mess. And I just, like he did, wondering, number one, how this could even happen. And number two, just the fact that, we've been in this situation before, and Blizzard would apologize, but it doesn't seem, um, you know, to be learning their lesson. He was mentioning how it happened in 11.1.5 similarly. So, you know, it just seems like either they're I don't know if they're using AI. That's a possibility, but for some strange reason, the QA either wasn't up to snuff or they were sort of out of the loop. And I don't think any of us really know why, at least not right now. So at the very least, they let out an apology. But again, we've been there before, so it's kind of rough.
Yeah, a few things are different in this patch, and I didn't really anticipate them. I know I had written an add-on because default raid frames in combat will anchor a tooltip to your cursor if you hover over a buff that you put on there on a frame, right? And I'm healing people, so I'm putting a ton of buffs on there. And yeah, it's just really annoying to have a tooltip pop up on my cursor when I specifically have it set to like not do that. And I had written a small bit of an add-on to take care of that, and it was working totally fine. But 12.0.5 did something, and now we got to figure it out. And I haven't taken the time to do that yet. But yeah, they've done a lot of different things. With this patch. It feels much buggier than I don't know, it was a midnight launch, right? Like
Hmm.
that should have been a lot harder to pull off than this one. And so now I guess I'm wondering what is going to happen in '07 when that one drops. If we can expect the
Quality of their
same,
patching has certainly been on a decline. Like it definitely feels that way.
which is so odd because the expansion just feels so rich, right? Like at the beginning of this
Hmm.
expansion, with all the features that we still have, that we're still able to do with. I mean, if we're just really trying to consider all the great things that we have, the void cores that we just got last week that are genuinely amazing. Yes, there was a bug; those people are getting them refunded, right? But like, as unfortunate as that is, the fact of the matter is still that the system is awesome. It's so great. Like everybody is already feeling the benefits of how easy it is to get gear, and once
It's
gear's kind of out
also
of the
bit them
way,
in the ass in the past too.
with gearing a little bit too fast. You think maybe?
Yeah. Or gear just being too easy to get in general.
Well, it seems that they're trying to push players
Plus,
to
a good
maybe think
idea
about.
doesn't necessarily mean we can forgive very poor implementation. Because I mean, you pay money for the product, right?
Well, what I mean is, Midnight had a lot of good implementation, a lot of good systems. They were all
Like the
really
expansion
fun.
transition was
Yeah,
smooth,
but
but
now
it generally has been for, despite the memes, quite some time. But the patch transitions, specifically those, have been getting significantly worse.
yeah, maybe there's less QA.
Low quality. There's certainly some of them are more rushed.
They have a cadence that they've boasted quite often. I think Holly Longdale brings it up pretty often that it's point of pride for Blizzard to have had announced that a while ago, and then they, I think they spent maybe a year getting to that point to where they were actually on in line with the cadence they promised.
And Life said it has a sense of irony.
Yeah, it's also some people have now that we're actually in a place where they are keeping with their cadence. Some people have pointed out that it kind of feels maybe a little bit too fast, right? That you kind of have to, it always has to be go 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 if you're going to do all the things that you want to do. Have any of you felt any pressure from the cadence of the patches?
I would agree with that statement I would agree with that statement full heartedly.
What about you, Denny? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Kane.
Okay.
Like there are some of these patches that if I were thinking about it, I would just cut them out entirely. We didn't need them.
Mm.
But they're ultimately I come down on the side that they're not made for.
Siren Isle. We really could have skipped that one. I know,
Hmm.
I
I
like the
know. You
cosmetics for the
wanted to
Siren
use
Isle.
the island that you already built. It was already a pre-made asset. And so they said it in an interview. It was from BFA, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, Siren Isle was actually half decent. The patch wasn't terribly buggy, and it added a bunch of
No, bugging,
cosmetics.
no.
When I think
And I
of
did
bad
like the
patches, I think of the one a bit after that with the stupid cutscene and the Arathor and then the buggy, like, whatever the hell it was in the cutscene.
was it for the disc belt that you had to go do delves for?
No, I don't know, the one with the old dude where Trollbane is a bitch.
I don't remember that.
Well, exactly, that kind of goes to my point.
Dang.
It was
Okay.
technically an important lore moment, all things considered, hinting towards future potential expansion or patch content. And nobody's really remembering it because it was buggy as hell, cutscene was lame, the storytelling was lame, the patch was rushed, and that same situation has occurred again in a much shorter time frame with 12.0.5. Only this time it hit things like class functionality.
Yeah, there was. I think most of the bugs that we had seen were something to do with one of the classes. So it's really unfortunate if you were one of those classes that dealt with that. I think before
They're
knowing,
ultimately the worst ones you can have.
yeah, and I think before knowing that people were going to get a refund for their void cores because we had recent things that happened and Blizzard was like, well, I don't really know how I'm going to give you a refund for that. So I wasn't actually sure. And I guess we can't really be sure until they announce that they are going to do it. So before hearing that, I thought that was pretty bad. After hearing they're going to get the refund, it's like, okay, that's not terrible. That's pretty nice. Um, but yeah, some of the rest of the patch, I've only really been rating. I haven't had a lot of time to jump in and do a bunch of things. I haven't had a chance to play with the new decor duels, which I don't know that they're very buggy. I've read a few things, but mostly it's just exploits, right? Like there's an oversight with players being able to use some of their abilities in that area. Um, so outside of that, I haven't actually ran into any bugs. So I've gotten lucky, but I know there's like a lot. There's a huge
It's
list, and
got
they're
the
all
odd
class.
phasing glitch, but lots of stuff have the odd phasing glitch.
Definitely makes sense for something like that.
I haven't messed with the decor duels is another one of those pieces of content where I'm just like, it's not made for me.
Right. And
Yeah,
I think for something like that, um,
I tried it out.
it's very tiny in comparison to all the other stuff we can do. Even the like we were just talking about the new fishing event thing.
Like I like it for who it's for, but it's definitely like when Blizzard was making this content, I was not the player in mind, and that's okay.
Right.
I feel like that's sometimes that's the approach that they have for things that they tie into player power that we need, right? The disc belt is an example of that, where if you weren't into delves, that would have felt really bad to not go out of your way to like be able to utilize the power that was being given to players through that belt and through the mechanics
I
it
don't
had.
like delves, but I didn't mind having like a better reason to run them. It was pretty reasonably quick to get. I could see people having the opposite opinion, but I didn't mind for the few delves I had to do to be able to just run them for that belt. But I don't know. There are other issues I have with the belt than necessarily that, but that's probably one of them where but I think when it comes to delves, they want it to be a core part of the gearing process. That seems pretty
I
clear to
think it
me.
is. I mean, for players who do not mind delves and
No,
they're
I don't
shorter.
mean just for that. I just mean like in general, it's a core part of the gearing process. Same way dungeons and the same way raids can be. Is like that's the content they're willing to push you to do versus engage with it if you want, don't if you don't want.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. And it was very quick to get those done. They didn't take a lot of delves to finish some of the um some of the quests that they wanted you to do. And I think there was even a little workaround you could have done where you hop back out and grab a quest and finish it, and then, in like one go, you can get it done and get the belt. But um, yeah, I think a bigger issue was yeah, the on use effect of that belt was blocking you know, any enchantments that you would have that would be an on use effect, like Nitro Boost, for example. So I didn't actually use the belt at all because of that.
It's kind of crazy. It's another thing where that should have been caught in testing.
Yeah, right.
Even just
It was so obvious. I thought it felt intentional,
mhm,
like they intentionally did that.
And that's kind of the problem with some of these oversight mistakes they make now. Is it's like even in some of the Discord things, it's like this could be intentional and they forgot to tell us, or it's a bug.
right.
Yeah, hard to tell.
They're kind of losing that. Like I for all the memes throughout all the years, there was a certain sense of quality that they really seem to be slipping on lately.
Well, so to speak to that, taking a look at the apology that they put out after, shortly after, kind of trying to fix all these bugs and put out all these fires, it says the 12.0.5 patch launch was not up to our standards, and we know this disrupted your time and caused justified frustration. The team has been working around the clock since launch to stabilize the game and fix the biggest issues players are hitting right away, and they point to their hotfixes. The team is taking lessons learned from this launch to help ensure this doesn't happen again. We will also work harder to communicate openly, early, and often when a launch doesn't go as expected. The known issues we're working on fixed as they roll out, and any other information that would be useful to our community as problems are worked on and solved. And uh, does this sound like a sincere note, as in like maybe a change?
It sounds like your standard tech company apology, canned apology.
But if they were to hold to this, right? Let's assume that they do that, right? It sounds like the promise that they're making here is that old Blizzard, right? That we're
Sounds
talking
like the
about.
promise is the same promise they make every time they screw up.
They could promise us some time back.
Yeah, like if they were really serious like they were back in the day, they'd probably refund you some time. They absolutely would.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, huh?
It's
Not for
very
a long
rare.
time.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
I
think
think
the
it's
last
also
time, so sorry to cut you off, but I think the last time they did it was actually the launch of WoD because it was that much of a disaster with the garrison.
right.
That sounds right. I remember it being a rough time. Used to, when you would take off work to prepare for an expansion, you had to just pray that your low pop server wouldn't suddenly be filled. And then there's so many expansions I would just sit at like midnight and be like, wow, I took off tomorrow for why? Why did I do that?
I would like pre-nap, I would prepare, I would be logged in, I would stay up all night. I was on a high pop server pretty much the entire time I've played. It was a battle zone, I tell you, and
Yes.
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough.
But I think it's very strange, like with, for example, the undocumented add-on changes where Blizzard was doing good with the whole add-on disarmament and that whole thing, and they were really communicating with the WoW UI devs. Now, they did screw up in terms of they went back on their promise where they were going to do a more limited disarmament. That they were just focused sort of on weak auras first, and then they would focus on other forms of computational add-ons. Um, but at the very least, they were communicating about it, and this just seems like a really it just seems really weird that they were doing so good and then they just kind of dropped the ball with this, and it's just a very strange ball to drop on as well. And I also feel real bad, you know, obviously we don't know without some reporters on the inside, and I haven't heard or read anything, but I'd imagine the poor Blizzard developers who are having to, go out and fight this with it being released, obviously, before it was time for it to be released, still had all these bugs. I just feel bad of them having to go out and just spend more time trying to fix these bugs instead of, taking the time that they needed and not being so focused on an 8-week patch cycle.
The apology did say that they are working around the clock. So
Words are also incredibly cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you work around the clock when you clock into work? The entire clock?
I don't believe the Blizzard devs are doing it either.
well, maybe because of the patches, that used to be the culture at a lot of video game companies, right? And even early Blizzard was a lot of. I mean, there was a recent interview with Jeff Kaplan, who used to work for World of Warcraft, and he's like legendary game designer, right? And
He's
that
more
was
than just a legendary game designer. He's a general gaming legend. His rant to the EverQuest devs is perfect.
yeah. He used to talk a lot of shit. I saw a lot of that come up. I thought that was hilarious.
When he had his balls, he's one of my favorite humans.
Yeah, he's had an interesting history with with the gaming community, and but he had talked about a culture that they had at Blizzard when he was hired on, which is pretty early on, and it wasn't uncommon for a lot of these guys, especially them being young, to spend their time, like all their time, sleep at the office and pull overnighters, and they're just eating pizza and soda all day long and energy drinks and just trying to get through all this. I don't know that that's still like a very common thing, but because of the maybe the level of bugs that were in this patch, that maybe they did bring people in for overtime, or had people working on weekends and such, which may have been really different for some of the developers.
The only way you get QA that bad is a sort of slow, inagile amount of hilarious corporatism. Meetings to have meetings about meetings about meetings about making
Well,
decisions.
So not only are they attached to Microsoft, which I think for a lot of other companies probably wouldn't make much of a difference, but Blizzard has been
WoW is a
really part of
cash.
the conversation. Yes, not only are they a cash cow, but we've talked about it a few times in this podcast. There are a bunch of different things that Microsoft as a company overall, from like the very, very top, wants to do with Microsoft. And then going down into the separate divisions that take care of some of their enterprise software. There's the gaming division. There's several places in Microsoft that they are focusing their energy on. And in gaming, we can see that there hasn't really been much of a mention for any of their other IPs besides Blizzard's World of Warcraft. Not Blizzard's Diablo, not somebody else's, like Elder Scrolls, like right, or not none of the, because I know Bethesda works either closely with them or is part of their, is that under their umbrella? Do they own Bethesda?
Yeah, they own
Yeah.
ZeniMax, and ZeniMax originally absorbed Bethesda and a few other studios.
Okay, so yeah, right, like they are. I mean, me personally, I would absolutely watch an Elder Scrolls movie, right? If you've seen the cinematics from their MMO, pretty awesome. I'd watch that story, but they're not having that conversation. The conversation they're having is World of Warcraft being the front and center, right? Being like what they aspire to. And so I imagine that Blizzard and everything that happens with Blizzard is more so attached to a really big corporate pipeline, right? So maybe a lot of things are getting really slowed down in this new
It would be
thing.
arguable that World of Warcraft is in much the same position as Pokemon is for the Nintendo company, except slightly better off because all the companies are, for lack of better understanding, more unified than technically, I think, three companies having control over Pokemon who are all
Correct.
together
Yeah.
but separate. But I would say with the colossal fuck up that is Microsoft's gaming division, I'm not getting any good vibes from it.
Yeah, and they've even just recently, I know they,
The changes went through in winter, though, right?
well, they're still trying to figure out a strategy. I mean, they just recently, I read, what was it, a few days ago, they've now sort of officially, but I don't know if they've put in like, I don't know, to the copyright office, but anyway, they're renaming Microsoft Gaming back to Xbox, and they have a new, if you can even call it, it's basically just the Xbox 360 logo again, but now it's a green color, and they have posters in the Xbox offices now saying it's something like "Back to Xbox," and so they're still trying to clean up their strategy, and they did confirm they're looking at possibly going back to exclusives again instead of everybody
Well, they
everything.
basically hit like a colossal roadblock with Game Pass, which was it's probably never going to be profitable. And it was
Right.
actively costing money from other giant IPs.
Yep. And they did recently announce that with the new price reduction for Game Pass, officially you're never going to get Call of Duty on any of them.
Yeah, and I mean Sony has been mopping up by going back to basics, which is it's not customer friendly. So as a customer, I can't really support it. But as a dude who kind of gets a thing or two about business, they went back to basics, back to exclusives, back to console warring, and it makes money.
Right.
It does. Getting people on your platform, getting people buying stuff on PlayStation Store. This platform is where you have to be to play this game. It just works, and it always has.
Yep. And it's just very puzzling to what they were really trying to do, at least to me it seems, with the whole everything's an Xbox. Like, I can understand, you know, having PC games, I can understand them having own game studios, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that when you're diluting everything, it's going to turn out diluted.
Right. And I mean, one of the original guys who pushed the everything is an Xbox, he was obsessed with the idea of a TV media unit. Like, it's a very dated idea from like the 2010s. And I
Right.
think you get that from the slow and agile corporatism of a company, the sheer magnitude of a company like Microsoft. And it's only gotten bigger with more talking heads in control of more things, trying to look good on more reports. It really limits what happens. And that doesn't even get into the sheer hiring bloat that a lot of these companies have experienced over the last several years.
Well, when you can hire automated agents, that pipeline gets real thin real quick.
Surely nothing will go wrong.
I mean, especially if we start with security, which Microsoft did mention. That was the first target that they were going to have for their AI automation, and I just think that's probably not the best idea. Maybe like something else. I don't know, customer service first, probably.
No, that won't work. They've done a ton of studies. People hate dealing with machines with customer
Oh,
service.
I thought that was the point. make them not enjoy it, and then they don't call anymore,
Well, then, job accomplished.
Well,
right?
theoretically, then you enter the situation where the one person that does offer human customer service will get all the business.
Honestly, here's the thing. And I think that if anybody is allowed to declare any wars or conflicts or anything across the world or planet, right? You have to get through Blizzard customer service first. Like if you can get somebody to sign off on something, go for it. But until then, you're just gonna get stuck in AI loophole.
to be
But
fair, we did experience that miracle relatively recently, because there was someone who responded to Rygus about the loot.
Oh, that's
That
right. Yeah, yeah. So they've got something. So yeah, maybe Comcast. That would probably be a
there
more
you go.
reliable customer service that's going to fail you. Um, Daddy, do you have an Xbox? Do you ever play any Xbox games?
I don't have an Xbox anymore. The last Xbox I had was a 360, and it was a cool one. It was like the Star Wars one. When you pressed it, R2D2, like when you turn it on, it was really cool.
Nice.
So it would R2D2 would make a noise.
Yeah, well, when you turn it on, it made the like R2D2 noise because it was a Star Wars like C3PO and R2D2.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, I've just had PlayStation and Nintendo since then. Because there's really nothing I care about that Xbox has that PlayStation doesn't.
That was part of the conversation
Yeah.
that exclusives might be coming back to Xbox. I mean, they might be looking to absorb some more companies and then just put them on the roster, right?
It's also not good, but that is probably what they'll do.
What are like Xbox exclusives like Gears of War, Halo?
Yeah, they used to be. Not anymore.
Gears of War, Halo, but those aren't good.
Yeah.
Some people really like Halo.
The if you really like Halo Infinite, you're not a Halo fan, and you just need to walk.
Oh, wasn't there a controversy with that, right? With that Halo Infinite?
All I know is dog shit, and it didn't live up to the Halo name, but it was better
Maybe
than
that was it.
Guardians, apparently.
Ooh, man. Well, yeah, maybe we should just let Bungie make Halo games. You know?
No, because they don't want to make Halo games anymore, and they're not the Bungie that made Halo anymore either.
Yeah, Bungie wouldn't be able to work on Halo anymore since they're owned by Sony for a good while since they came out with Destiny, and
Well, the thing is, Destiny 2 has fallen off so hard.
right.
I don't think
It's
I
not
think
over
you
yet?
could sell them.
Like the story? I thought the story was over.
The first, I don't know what the hell you'd call it, but yes, you are correct. But the game's still going. I have no idea what it's about anymore, but it's still getting content updates, sold
Yeah.
DLC and stuff. I have no idea what it's about.
They've stopped updates now that Marathon is active, and they're all focusing on
Okay.
Marathon. But the scuttlebutt on that is that it's nowhere near has made the money that they spent back on even making that. So
On Destiny?
on Marathon now,
Oh,
Destiny
okay.
is a different thing. They've been losing money on that too.
Or even buying, like, just buying Bungie as a whole, they haven't made their money back.
Nope.
Well, dang.
And they probably were never going to, because the way business works, right? You see them doing this great stuff and that's at their peak, and you're kind of buying them for that and their history. Those devs have left, and that game's about to go down from its peak. I think the Witch Queen expansion was a big deal, and it was a great jump in quality. And then the next two were mid at best, and all Destiny expansions have generally not gone above mid at best. There's a ton of MTX and DLC, and they've probably made a good amount of money from that, but the sheer amount of money spent to acquire the company, keep the game running, and develop Marathon, they're basically no profit.
Yeah, and we all know what happened with Sony and Concord. So I'm gonna go say the vacuum cleaner robot.
What was the vacuum cleaner robot?
He sucked and he blew, and he looked like a
Is
giant
that-
trash can.
Oh my god.
What a disaster.
Yeah.
Was it supposed to be like what was that? Borderlands, right? Wasn't that like a really silly game?
It was supposed
So-
to be Overwatch.
Yeah.
Oh.
Another hero shooter with these very, very either generic or outright just lame.
Ridiculous, obnoxious, ugly designs.
It was also Temu Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was the little bit of the storyline was like Temu Guardians of the Galaxy. The gameplay was
man.
apparently very generic, but it did have some flavor, apparently, from what I've been told.
Yeah, that's I don't know how I'd buy into that.
Like the last Overwatch, like the last hero shooter anybody paid for was Overwatch 1, and even Overwatch 2 is free now. And it's back to
Mhm.
just being Overwatch.
Speaking of ridiculous monetization models, the Chinese version of our game that we don't have to deal with, but they have a new promotion. They have more exclusives coming, which at this point, I think we could just expect it. And we haven't gotten anything from Blizzard that says any of the stuff that's gone to the Chinese version of the game is going to be not exclusive at some point, right? I don't want everything, but there's a couple things that China has gotten that I think would be really cool if the rest of World of Warcraft players could also get. But this one is coming with a mount, transmog. Um, I think they're getting some like housing decor and such with it. But how the promotion works, players buy treasure points with real currency, and one of the currency is around 15 cents for USD, but it's going to be in like I don't know whatever Chinese currency is. Is it yen?
Yen is Japanese.
Whoops. Okay. I don't actually know what they use. Um, but it'll about 15 cents for one treasure point, and that's one treasure coin. And 6 treasure coins equal one random draw, and 54 treasure coins is 10 random draws. So it's probably going to end up. It always seems that, like, whenever these systems are put into place, the RNG on it is basically guaranteeing that 95% of players are going to have to buy 95% of the tries before, or 100% of them before you actually get whatever thing that you're wanting. And some of these Chinese exclusive items have it to me it seems like gambling. I don't know. America has a lot of laws against some stuff like
That would
that.
be why they're not releasing it here. They're probably only going to release it in China, is because Europe already has laws against shit like that.
I mean, I can imagine they're making money off of it because of that. And especially if there's just like a lot of people that are just motivated to do it each time and they're not getting burnt out. So great for them. I guess that's cool that they can make some more money. But, you know, the American market and I guess like the European market and just the other markets that Blizzard is serving, they don't um, they don't need to get those items in that way, right? Like you could just put it on. Uh, I don't know. Every year we get an anniversary event for the Trader's Post, right? Put it on those vendors, right? Like it doesn't have to stay exclusive forever, and we don't need the same systems that they use to get their items, over here.
But then they don't make money on it.
Well, no, those players are on Chinese servers. They're not. If I mean, sure, yeah, you go ahead and try and play on American servers. It's like people just don't do that.
Well,
They
that would be highly illegal to do in China.
Yeah, um but it's the same thing, right? Like they have their way of getting it and we will have our way of getting it.
No, but what I'm saying is Blizzard is yet, like you said earlier, Blizzard is yet to bring anything these things over, and they're probably not going to.
No, there's lots of mounts and decor and things we haven't got, and then they're posting like they get stuff on holidays occasionally for decor, which we haven't got a single
Bro, yeah.
decor drop from any holiday, but they continue to get very weird decorative things and mounts and pets and
Like, I'm still annoyed at the swimsuit that they were allowed to sell in China that was actually allowed to show some hats for once,
That
rather than the bullshit we get with
that
the fuck.
one came with a really cool hat.
Hat or not, I don't care. It's the fact that it was more like a traditional swimsuit instead
It
of
was.
always being forced to have the sarong or whatever around your waist. And like it's a small detail, but it kind of goes to the angle Blizzard is taking in both markets. They're just trying to make money.
Yeah. There are still a couple like options that players have. I think
Well, we
one
have all
thing
the old school options, but we have nothing that high res.
That and Kane doesn't want to wear a chain kini in Rust.
Well, I mean,
there's
like, that's an option, but like I said, I'm talking about like the bottom half because they seem to be just very
Right.
afraid to show any ass. But they weren't 10 years ago.
We have a few. We have a few things. I think one is the it's like the I'd have to look it up in game. It's like Bloodmasters something, but it's a witch doctor sort of
Yeah,
outfit.
that comes with a bunch of tattoos and stuff. Which I mean, I'll give
Yeah,
you
that one's pretty
that.
cool. I like that
But
one
it's
with the
notable.
tattoos.
But it's notable because there's so few of them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And again, nothing really matches
they
the
data
high
mined the
quality
mage weave.
resolution of
We
that swimsuit.
we were supposed to get high resolution versions of the mage weave outfits, which were um, I think historically players had pointed to those ones being maybe not revealing because it is just like a one piece, right? But
Don't
they
confuse Twitter mob with actual players of the
Yeah, they
game.
mod. There's not even. I mean, if you want to go even deeper than that,
there's definitely the Twitter mod, but there were Mage Weave sets that were data mined, and they were tagged with trading post. And so the assumption was that they were that we were going to get those some Mage Weave sets in a trading post somewhere within midnight, but we haven't gotten that yet. So they haven't come out yet, but there were some like higher resolution mining sets that had
the
shown up at some point.
Ruby Mage Weave that came
From
out
an
was
initial
getting.
level,
Daddy sounds salty about the mounts.
No, I'm trying to say the Ruby Mage Weave we got is one of the only transmogs that shows the male character in like a slight bikini look rather than having shorts on. For at least shamans and other things, there's only a few things in the game that make it short on male characters. Like, I know the Zandalari Heritage set has like that appearance, but like not everybody can really, rock that. But there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of options for males, so the Ruby Mage Weave was one of the first ones that kind of give a appearance of like a mankini, but it has leggings on the bottom part of your leg, but everything else in the game is like shorts, you know. So I'm kind of with Kane. If we got the actual bikini bottom, the men could
yeah, but
wear it.
I'm not talking about male
Yeah, but I'm
ass.
saying all the stuff that translates over for females doesn't look the same on male characters, but the mage weave ones would, and the bikini ones
Mm.
Yeah.
would. They don't want that for us.
I think that we should be able to dress up our female and male characters in as little or as many layers of clothing as we want, right? As
A
because it's
lot
a
of
power
It's not
people.
even
fantasy.
about layers of clothing. It's just how nice it looks and how ridiculous it looks.
I think that there's a lot of ways to express yourself, and there's a lot of really cool, really fun, really silly transmog sets, and I think that I know that it sounds like really weird to just kind of like defend like the more scantily clad outfits and such, right? Because there's been a lot of
Doesn't
I
sound
think
weird at all. It sounds normal.
well, there's a lot of players that well, I don't know if they're players
Twitter
like people
mob.
outside
Uh,
people outside of like the game, right? It's because there would be people who don't play World of Warcraft or who don't play RPGs or anything, right?
And their opinion is
And
not a concern.
yes, but we still have sort of this cultural conversation happening, right? And so that's we can imagine that that has something to do with how games are influenced and the designers that they're hiring and they're bringing onto the staff. And so we have these people, this culture, this
It's almost like
idea,
two things are related.
yeah, of maybe the sensibilities being a little bit high strung, and we're trying to
High
like
strung
pull back.
sensibilities, can't code worth a shit, lots of bugs. Like the solution seems simple.
Yeah, I just it is unfortunate that they're going in that direction, and it's just that historically just so many of the games and such, it's kind of a fun I think it's just like a fun idea that a female or even a male character, right? You'll have like less armor, like visually very little armor, but your armor stat is like sky high, and it's I've always thought that that was amusing. I always thought that that was a really entertaining part of like an RPG, and with transmog system, like that really kind of got expressed a lot. I thought that was really cool to be able to do that. Like I can tank in a straw hat, and a pitchfork if I wanted to.
They could really do
Like
more with it too, it feels like, but it just
yeah, it's very broad. You can do a
basic.
lot of stuff. I appreciate that, and they keep adding stuff. I mean, we just talked about on the last episode the sheathing thing that they just brought in 12.0.5. That's pretty awesome. I love that, especially for daggers.
Yeah, it just feels like that could have happened a long time ago, though. Like, I was so excited when
Yeah,
Transmog come out, and then it's like, oh, I hope I get the Mythic piece to drop because it'll actually match my outfit. Or, oh, I have the heroic, but it's green instead of purple. It's, I think that's why a lot of people go to Final Fantasy because there's more customization. I mean, you're having to stare at your character or the back of your character for hours every day, and you can't even just change the color by dyeing something or, taking the sleeves off or it doesn't lay correctly when it flows in the wind. There's just things that I'm like, I know they can do it
yeah. Well,
based
the
on what
technical limitations, right? Then they'd have to change a
There's
lot of
definitely
things.
some technical limitations there, but you're also comparing a social MMO to a competitive MMO.
I mean, Final Fantasy is pretty competitive. It can be.
It has
I
a
played
very
it on.
small competitive community. I know I've been there. The majority of people are sitting around, they're RPing, they're doing casual content,
Ooh,
they're
RP.
farming their transmog. Like it's a big part of the end game of both games is their transmog system. But ultimately you have a much smaller competitive community in FF14, whereas in WoW, that's the dominant community.
Still, it
Right.
still can be a thing, in my opinion. I mean, the same with decor. They put the housing and they promised a lot, and it's still not happened. I don't see a reason why they have to stagger things out over months and literally years and decades that they're capable of doing. Like the she thing could have been a thing. I feel like.
See, I think that was probably like it's one of those small things that just maybe didn't occur.
There is actually a good amount of classic content that had made it into like housing, right? And if you were to go and check out all the interviews and the articles that were written, a lot of them cover what Blizzard is talking about, and very definitely there's a team, like a dedicated team to housing and to decor items and everything, right? And everything they were saying is basically every single item that's out in classic is it's not a simple just grab the item and take it. A lot of items, a lot of what they're dealing with, a lot of the things that they are saying are cool enough to start to
What
turn
they
into an
have to
asset.
grab, though.
It's part of the environment. It's part of it is cut off and it's not doesn't even exist. So they have to build that new part of it and that's not right. And so now you're like projecting how long is this item going to take? Okay, put that on the pile, put it over here and this one that's right. And so they're allocating some time to go back in in reverse, right? And retrospectively look backwards and grab those items and deal with them. But because they take a lot of work, those are going to be slow burn. Like what we got initially is a taste, and then anything we get going forward, I think because of the longevity that they have, their idea of how long this game is going to be lasting, it's already gone 20 years. They didn't expect that, but they plan on another 20. If they're looking at a timeline that large, then it doesn't make it makes sense to go ahead and take your time to go back and fill those in as you're getting all these new ones. But even when they bring those classic things back, those don't get color changing. Only the new items get like
Well,
these sort of like color changing dyes.
if we're
I mean, if
talking about being timely, I mean TBCA is out now. Now would be the time for that. Wrath Classic Anniversary is going to be in a year-ish. So that would be the time to have those things come out. I mean, I just feel like a lot of that interview stuff is corporatism managed expectations. I think we could have more. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong, but I feel like we needed more thematic stuff from those expansions people love
yep,
to really get people excited because when I heard about housing and I heard about that thought process, I thought it was going to revive old parts of the game. It hasn't done that.
no,
Now, maybe that's my expectations were wrong, but I also don't think I was in the wrong space to be like, all these Wrath reputations I grinded should have some decor added to them because it seemed to be a very broad, evergreen, retroactive feature where they were going to touch on all the good parts of WoW's history. And it just seems like, okay, we got a bunch of Midnight stuff, and that makes sense. But where's the classic stuff I feel like I was also being sold on? You know?
It just goes in your inventory because you did it before instead of making it fun where you're like, oh, I need to go re-explore this area. I remember this area like XYZ. I feel like I was really excited for decor and I did it, but now it's like they should have just gave us some of this in Warlords because the garrisons were the biggest letdown. After like a few months, you did everything you could do. You would still get the resources, but it's like you wanted more. And now it's like decor's been out. It could be more, which I know that's us being greedy. We want more, but it's just like it could be more. It could
Not
be
even more. It's more like we want better.
Yeah,
But like,
I mean, we're
housing has been all right. It's not my feature. Like, I've barely
sure.
engaged with it. My thought engagement with it is really more the collectathon aspect. And oh, cool. What did they add from the what the fuck? The Kaluak and Wrath? What decor did they add there?
I mean, if we're
Go
selling
check the
it,
quartermaster.
if we're selling it in the Blizzard shop, I feel like you should put some more effort into what people want. Like at this point, you know, like you're selling cherry blossoms and stuff, and that's cool. But like, you could give us stuff we want to, or make it like a thing where you can work towards in the game. But it's just like now it's become you just pay for what you know you can get tokens and pay for some stuff you want. I guess there's still not the mounts in the yard. There's still not the pets roaming the house.
We do have some data mine assets that point to we're probably going to get the roaming pets pretty soon. Hunter pets, no, but companion pets, yes.
See, if anything, the roving hunter pet should be first because some hunters spent hours and days on those rare
Mhm.
games.
Yeah, the spirit beasts and everything.
Yeah, some of those are really hard to get. Yeah, so Shakatan, I see you hopped in here
Shack
to
attack!
join us.
Shack attack!
Do you have any
I'm
opinions
crashing the
on?
party, boys.
Pull up, crack a beer, man. I'm already on number 2. Let's go.
Do you have any opinions on the Chinese exclusives that they've got going for themselves over there? They got a whole nother
Dude, I
event.
would have the Thundercat stuff is I would have really dug that. Give me the Thundercat stuff or whatever they did.
I think Templar actually covered the system that you had gotten those with, and it was like basically just really expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was on one of the
Gacha
podcasts.
is generally pretty expensive.
it's kind of incredible just how expensive it actually was. You know, not just the gambling,
Well,
but
like, we're
yeah,
talking about the company that made it to, like, get a top geared character in Diablo Immortal, put the price tag at like 100K.
mhm.
Well, to be fair, Diablo Immortal is not directly developed by Blizzard, right? Did they hand it off to a third party? I mean, it's
I think they
under
did.
the
Does that
Blizzard
matter,
umbrella,
bro?
but well, yeah, I know, but it's made
They have
for
full
those.
say over the monetization.
Yeah, I mean, it's made for those markets that cell phone market. I mean, how many? You know, I played quite a few cell phone games, and I know how monetized that they can be. as long as they
Like,
as long as they
it's
offer it.
exploitative as hell, though. And I mean, they all kind of do it, but 100K for a maxed out character is particularly egregious to me. Like, it's just.
Blizzard has been directly asked about how they function with the Chinese servers, and just because of the fact that they're so different in how they run the game and the great many exclusives that they have, um, they have answered directly that the Chinese version of the game, the company running that, has to come to them directly and talk about everything. So like nothing happens in terms of these promotions and the way that they monetize it. That isn't confirmed by Blizzard. Like Blizzard is like one to one with them. So I imagine that Diablo Immortal and any other IP that they were to have another company deal with, like it's going to be the same pipeline. They're gonna be very definitely part of every one of those decisions. So I don't know that Blizzard could really argue that they're not part of making that a price for that item.
And my feeling is if you want to monetize something in your system, right? Especially for like a market that, like people are kind of like used to it. If it's not going to be like a competitive, like a push, like yeah, somebody could get like level 100 or whatever. Like, is that really like changing your progress in the game? Like, you could still get there,
No, it
right?
very much is, because that's your power in Diablo Immortal. That's your power in PvP. It is 100% pay for power.
Okay.
Ooh, that's different.
Well, yeah, I didn't think about the PvP aspect of it, but I mean,
Like, I
yeah,
get it, the freedom to charge what you want, but that's why we have every much right to and should be disgusted when they do a move like that. Now, I can't really make a moral stance because unless I'm willing to swear off all Blizzard games, I can only really complain about it and then keep paying my WoW sub. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hypocritical on an inherent level.
right.
But it is also like I am definitely find that sheer amount to be disgusting. Like even some of the worst Chinese gacha games aren't that bad.
Right. I played plenty of games where it was definitely beneficial if you wanted to get like certain packs and stuff that were fairly cheap, to kind of boost you and stuff, and some of those games where you're like on the world map, and you're like you're in a guild and you gotta like you gotta play that game like every freaking day, like and constantly do stuff, and then there's these battles that you gotta do, on the world map with people. Like that zombies game. You guys ever see that zombies game that like where you're shooting down the roads and stuff? You've seen the ads. You're shooting down the roads and a
I've
whole bunch
seen
of
the
zombies and
ads.
stuff. That game, dude, that game gets freaking ridiculous, bro. And I got like I tunneled down into that game for a while, and I was in like the top
Does it
server
play like
or
the
the top
ads?
guild on the server.
Does the
Well,
game look like the ads?
the game does not have ads. It just has little
No. Like
microtransactions.
what
No,
you
no.
see in the ads. Like, is the game
Oh,
representative of that?
that's
Like,
just
does it?
that's just one part of the whole game. Yeah, it's like way bigger than that.
It's like the
That's just like the
tutorial. It's the
first
first
part.
little bit, and then after that, it's like a base builder. And some of the missions you do are like that tutorial, but not all of them.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right. And then you get part in a guild, and then you're like trying to take over like parts of a map, and you gotta like fortify your base because people might attack your base, but you get in with your guild and you've got like
Real
your
people?
guildies that are like these are all people, yeah, real people that are like helping you, to like defend your base. If you get attacked, they'll retaliate and stuff to like take down the defense of somebody else's base. And
Why
then
don't
there's like
they
there's
advertise that on the ad?
I know. I don't know. I don't know why, dude. I thought it was gonna be like this simple game where I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I'm just gonna be like trying to shoot left and right, trying to get the points to get more army men to shoot bigger zombies. But yeah, it's just such a small part of the game that gets like super crazy because later on you're building up like these groups that are like tanks and air units, and then you're fighting other people in a leaderboard status and all kinds of stuff that like there's so many aspects of that game, but it's all microtransaction. Now I'm getting off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but that game's crazy.
It
It's called
ultimately ends up
Last
being-
War. Last War is the game.
at its core, in the end, it ends up being a money vacuum because it's one of those ones where you can only do so much per day, and if you want to do more, pay money.
Yeah, I went for a long time without paying money though, and I was keeping up. But the thing is, I had to play. I played a lot.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
play a fuck ton or you spend money.
Yeah.
Like that's just how those.
I was
games
spending a lot of
work.
time.
Get to the end of the game, you're like, oh, I really don't want to die here. I really don't want my base to be broken into, and that's when you pay.
Yeah, they get you hooked real good. They fast track you to the top. They get that momentum going. Now you're a bullet train. You can't stop. You're going past the station.
Just then I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Yeah, I had to get away. I just dropped the game. It was getting way too stressful for me, to be honest, because like there was certain times where like our guild times, it's like you got to be on at like 5 o'clock. We're gonna be assaulting this other group
Dang,
tonight. You know,
bro.
I was like,
That's
man, fuck, dude, I've already got World of Warcraft to deal with.
that's like that meme that's like, I don't care if your grandma's in the hospital, get on Clash of Clans. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like it actually.
Like a whole bunch
Get-
of my buddies play Raid. What is it? Raid Legends or what something called
Raid Shadow
something.
Legends.
Raid
Yeah,
Shadow
dude.
Legends.
Friends
Yeah,
don't let
dude.
friends
Yeah, a
play
bunch of my
Rady
buddies
Shady.
they're super into that.
Crazy. Crazy to know the people out there actually like you're the reason that ad pops up all the time.
Dang. Yeah, you gotta
Someone
let them
actually
know.
plays it.
So be better.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's huge markets for that, and there's a lot of people that don't play like the PC games, you know, like that we do, and so it's like a completely different market, and they know that there is people out
Mhm.
there that are willing
Yeah.
to spend that money, and that's the type of game that Diablo Immortal is, right? It's first and foremost, it's one of those type of mobile games. Now, while I don't condone it, that's just what it is. You know, that's why there's Diablo 4. You know, that's why there's a
That's
regular
what I'm saying.
Diablo
None of that
games.
makes it okay.
It doesn't make it okay. No, it's still shitty practices. It's
Like it should be sufficiently hated on until either it changes. It's probably not going to. Because
right. They
again,
never do it again.
people actually spend that kind of money.
Crazy.
Right.
And I'm not about to start telling grown ass adults what they can and can't buy with their money as long as it's not my money they're doing it with.
Right. Dude, I want just give me Peggle on my phone. Peggle.
Peggle's nice. I like.
You guys remember Peggle? They got Peggle. They
Mhm.
got the Peggle add-on for a while,
I
bro.
remember
I was
when
gonna
they used to
mention
have that, yeah.
the Peggle add-on. I love that one. That was
Yeah,
good.
it
I
was
used
a lot
to
of fun.
play that while waiting in ICC for raid to
I don't
start.
think
Mhm.
they have it anymore.
No, you can still. I played it last expansion. I had it on, so unless they
Well,
haven't
last
updated it, it was
expansion and this
working.
expansion are
Yeah, much different for add-ons, but it's probably still around.
like it could be, but I haven't looked. I know in Wrath for a brief period there was also a Bejeweled add-on. I used to play the shit out of that.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I think those two were like bundled in the same add-on at some point.
No, I never had the Peggle one. I only had Bejeweled.
No,
I
yeah,
hardly
I had
ever
an
use
add-on that
Fight
had them
Pass.
both.
I don't use Fight Pass anymore, so it's like I never, never even think about playing it because I'm always dragonflying.
You can't dragonfly and do anything.
Yeah. What was that, Daddy?
You can't dragonfly and do anything. You know, you gotta have both hands on the wheel for that one.
See, that's why I like it because it's almost like gameplay now, or it was.
I think it's really fun with a controller. I still do it with mouse and keyboard primarily, but it lends itself to controller play very well.
Yeah, it is
used
fun for
to
a
be
controller.
better because it seemed like different types of mounts, but like before it became what it is now, it seemed like different types of mounts were gonna have different special abilities that did different things, and you could get like a whole slew of gameplay out of it. And then they went and normalized it all, and it's been very disappointing since.
I think for them to have their the races and stuff like that, they have to do something like that to keep
Yeah.
everybody on
Yeah,
a
and there are no
on a level.
races in Midnight, really. Like, it's also disappointing.
They still have the events, and so they'll come up occasionally. I think we had one pretty early on in like the first couple weeks of midnight.
Yeah, but I'm never seeing, like, the dragon riding quests anymore. I care
Yeah,
about the world
the War
events.
Within
Those
had
can go
some.
fuck.
I remember the War Within had some, so I kind of expected the same thing. The courses to be around. I didn't see any of them.
Like, the quests and stuff and achievements. I kind of figured that was going to be a mainstay thing going forward. I probably shouldn't have after they kind of normalized it, but
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's in the rear view mirror now. It's over.
The War Within first got announced and you pre-ordered it and you got the Algathar Storm Rider, the blue lightning griffin, or at least it
Mhm.
starts blue. It had its own special ability where when you were flying near walls it would activate and you could click the button and it would give you a huge burst of speed.
Oh, I
And I
remember
guess
that.
kind of the idea is like, you're flying near a wall, you're generating static,
They
And
did the
you
same
could
for flying near the top of water and floors, like surfaces of things.
no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is an actual ability, and you would say be near a wall, and it didn't restore vigor. It costed like the same 3 vigor Whirling Surge does, but you would get like a lightning jolt forward instead of like the little twirl that
Oh
it
wow, that
does.
sounds so cool.
Like they were kind of very similar, but what I expected when I saw that was that every type of mount, so the discs, the horses, were going to get their own special whirling surge type of ability. And some get a special animation now, to be sure, but I was expecting them to have different effects. And
Mhm.
maybe they'd have a dragon riding race where you have to pick the right type of mount ability to use. And
And
obviously,
I
with the
thought,
War Within and so many caves, like the Algarian Stormrider ability just makes a lot of sense. And then they just normalized it.
that they were going to keep the rostrum, going like moving forward with like new mounts, where you could kind of change, the unique like horn types, beard types, like all the hair types and stuff on mounts. Like, I want more of that. I thought that was really cool in
There's a little
Dragonflight.
bit of that with the Delve mount, but it's not the same. You're right.
Right. They should just have that with, special mounts, like moving forward, or even like generic mounts, that they can definitely just. I know it's manpower for them to, to create all the different variations and stuff like that. But shoot, like once you have certain horns, like these horns, you just like re you basically just, reuse those assets, for
And
like other mounts.
I think
What were you
with a
gonna say,
lot of
Daddy?
things with Blizzard is a lot of things that they
Sorry, you were gonna say something, Daddy?
I was just agreeing, like the skins, they could do different skins on stuff. Kind of agreeing with Shaq.
Did you go and collect all the dragons during
Uh,
Dragonflight?
I don't know because I quit Dragonflight 2 weeks in because I hated it so much,
Damn.
I
Oh
feel
wow.
that
and the flying was a part of it.
if it wasn't for rating and M plus, I probably would have stopped playing this game a long time ago.
Yeah, I didn't even make it. I don't
Do you
think I
do
even made it to
has
raid.
a flying like has a flying grown on you
No, I
or
still hate it. I use the slow
oh
flying
okay.
when I can.
Dang. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Cowards talk.
Mm-mm.
I mean, dude, if I had to go for some reason, from like I don't know, the top of Kalimdor to the bottom, I would I would switch over. I would switch flying styles, and I would just aim in that direction and walk away. And then I
I
don't
can
know
see
that I would
that,
want
but
to dynamically fly across the continent. It's fun. I personally, I love flying
like
within
I
a
can get
zone.
behind that, but it would technically take longer than if you used
Oh yeah,
Skydive.
but the key part is me walking away.
You would
Well,
have
at that point, just take a
to
flight
land.
path.
You'd have to land, and you'd have to wait for the boost to come
No, no,
back.
no. I don't pay for
Yeah,
flight pass. Ever since I got a mount, I don't pay for flight pass. I'm too cheap for that. I gotta save all the gold I can.
just so many teleports now.
Don't be a broke boy. I don't.
No, I've got like 100,000, so I'm doing okay. I'm not rich.
Now you got to
Yeah,
gamble.
see, no, 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 we don't gamble. If I mean, I'll do it every now and then, but 100,000 is not that much. I mean, it's okay, but it keeps me rating. I will burn through this
I
hundred
could see
thousand
you
in a few
burning through
weeks.
that. I can burn through 100K very quickly with
Yeah,
like high quality consumables.
yeah.
But at the same time, a couple silver on a flight path to go from the top of the old continent to the bottom. I don't know. It's just less risk because I have flown off the map before and been unable to recover my character.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't run into anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know. It works out. I've never really had an issue with it. I just kind of point in a certain direction and then I'm good.
Just
Uh,
let it roll.
yeah, really.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I thought I really enjoyed the Dragonflight storyline just because it was the rebirth. Well, not the rebirth, but after leaving around Wrath of the Lich King, it was just kind of like a neat thing to see all the Dragonflight get their powers back. After they had used
See,
them in Cataclysm.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Is to me, it just felt like a retcon of Cataclysm, which is something they
Yeah.
seem to be very committed to for a long period of time. And they didn't even touch on the other parts. So I was like, oh, is the Age of Mortals over now? Like they made a big fucking deal about them losing their powers. And it's like, oh, they just had to activate some stones, say a few prayers, and boom, powers back. What?
The lore is that the powers that they had gifted before, right? The originators of that power that came from Titan technology. So the gifts that they were given, um, maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe they wanted to change that in some way, or maybe they're just they're just like latching on to what they've already written. But the new power is from the World Soul. So like whoever our World Soul is for Azeroth, that is where the dragons are getting their new power, and maybe that this is going in this direction of like uh, it's giving Destiny vibes,
A
right?
lot
Like
of
the
that
Traveler and making all the
definitely
like
was
the
not
Guardians.
explained in game. A lot of that was definitely not explained well in game. But
No,
regardless, it is definitely a walk back of Cataclysm, regardless of how they do it, because somebody recognizes that that was a bad idea at the time.
Um, I don't know if it was a bad idea. I think it was important for them to get to go through and work, work against Deathwing at that point to
Well, no,
do
but the
what
whole
that
idea
they
of
had to
them
do.
burning out their power, like at the end of it, was just silly. Quite some time. It opened all kinds of questions that just
how
did
you feel
not need
about
to
the
be open.
destruction of Dalaran?
To change it up.
No,
I
I
was
mean
just
like
gonna
as
say,
like a really big lore thing, right? Like they just like shit that they're just taking away. They took away the dragon's powers. That was like one of our superpowers, right? Like as far as like not the players, but the forces of good on the planet. Delaran was like the spear tip, the tip of the
a
spear.
repository of knowledge and power, right? It's like,
Knowledge,
Well, the
sure, but mostly
problem with
power.
Dalaran's destruction is the fact that it
I knew
lacked
you didn't like it.
consequences and gravitas. I'm perfectly okay with the notion of it being destroyed. I mean, I'm not, because the idea of a floating city is fucking cool as hell. But they have used it for 2 expansions, and both times you kind of ask the question, why did the Legion not shoot it out of the sky? The Lich King, he had less things that could do that, but you could still ask the question. So it makes sense, and it was to give Xalatath presence, gravitas, like
It worked.
really bring her into
right.
it. But the problem is it came in so underwhelming. Khadgar didn't actually die.
That was a bummer.
Was used for some other weird shit.
They
And
wanted to
well,
show off the wheelchair technology.
right, and like it was some just weirdness, and like I kind of like Khadgar not dying because I like the character, but it robs the moment of a lot of weight, and even the wreckage of Dalaran. The place was so huge, I would have expected that to be a huge portion of his own, rather than just some
Mm,
tiny thing along the water, right?
w-
Like, let
well,
us
most of it
explore
went
the
into the
I
ruins.
mean, the idea was that it mostly went into the water and it
into
scattered
the
across a
That's
ocean.
small
a dumb
island.
Yeah,
idea. Doesn't matter. That's a dumb idea. Let us explore those ruins.
you have to wonder if they bring it back. I mean, Archimond destroyed Dalaran, like, way back in Hyjal. So, and it came back.
I think we get I think we get a Draenei city next.
The Kirin Tor, I think will reform together back into
If
doing
The
Blizzard,
something.
mages will do something
the
else, but
Kirin Tor still exists. They just
the
don't
closest thing
have
that we have
Dalaran.
to a flying city again in the next iteration of the game, like maybe next expansion or after the Last Titan, is probably going to be a Draenei ship, which is their main capital.
The Vindicar.
I mean, doesn't have to be that one specifically. We saw the
The
conflict in
Vindicar
Legion,
is
right?
made from the Exit.
Yeah. And what about the hint? The hint of them in when you're in Herondar or
But
Herondir or
just to
whatever.
speak of the
I mean,
Dalaran thing, they could rectify that by because they've let us go underwater before. Let us explore the underwater ruins then. Like, just give us that.
I mean, it was a pretty thorough explosion. I don't know if you watched that. I watched that animation. I watched it in slow
I
mo.
mean,
I
I've
don't
seen
know
plenty of
that
animations, and then
when.
there's still
I mean,
wreckage.
yeah. The power that she used to annihilate that city was. It just seemed really thorough, like a
It was
nuke.
just the power stored in the Violet Spire. Like, I get it, but at the same time, for moments like that in good writing to have gravitas and weight, you need to see the aftermath. You need to feel the consequences. I really feel like it just lacked that entirely.
Yeah, a Runes of Dalaran dungeon would have been really cool. You know.
Dungeon or just a zone, like just part of the whatever that starting zone was called, Kaz Elgar, because you have that little bit on the shore, but just have that be the whole thing. Have that be what destroyed the rookery that you have to rebuild.
Yeah, I think that could have been. I don't know, man. Maybe we get like a much cooler Dalaran, right? Like they killed it so that we get the next one, and it's basically Silver Moon, but it floats.
I don't know.
Like I'll take
Wouldn't you
that.
just? I don't know. At that point, I just feel like try something new. I'd rather the Draenei ship become a capital city at that point, which would make
That might
sense
happen,
if
right?
yeah, it would
Like
make sense
if they
because I
do the
feel
same
like
thing, because look
well,
at
I
what
feel
we
like
got with
going
Silver Moon.
off Azeroth is perhaps where the future of WoW is going to lead.
That's
So
what
it
I
only
thought until I
so
heard the interviews where we have was it Ian Hazacostas was talking about what their vision is for the Last Titan and basically what had happened in what was it, the War Within? We'd gotten something where we're basically we're going back, right? And players were like very happy about it. And he was kind of just kind of going over that and talking about the experience that they see the players are having and them being much more confident in how they're approaching the Last Titan, where they're bringing us all back. We're going to Northrend, and oh, it was Silver Moon
yeah,
and
I'm
Zolomon.
talking about post that is the only logical way for us to eventually go is in an almost take the fight to our enemies kind of circumstance. We'll still come back to Azeroth, things will still threaten it, but it only makes sense to have an avenue to be able to travel somewhere else if we have to, potentially beyond the use of portals. And then it makes sense to have a floating Draenei crystal ship capital kind of thing.
I think maybe even during the Last Titan, it's either during the Last Titan or the expansion after it. The thing about like any of the Legion type stuff is when you kill one of those demons or whatever, they just get like resurrected basically at like their home place, you know? So it's like
Well, that was
Yeah,
the
but
whole point
we
of going
solved
back.
that.
We solved that. That was the
going
point of Legion. That's what we wrapped that up
Like
in
that was
Legion.
retcon to be because Argus was the one doing the resurrecting, and that's what corrupted the world soul. And now that we defeated Argus, they have to
oh, okay.
actually. And now that we defeated Argus, they have to actually die deep in the twisting nether itself, or be of
So
significant levels of power.
does that mean going back into Shadowlands now? Because Shadowlands is like another like death point, right? You know?
Well, the
Well,
thing
the
is,
thing
is
that broke
Shadowlands is
Shadowlands is
between real death and where we are currently at, right? Like
and the thing
the
there.
Titans are the custodians for where we are hanging out at right now, and you have to think about the leaders that we had seen for each of the locations in Shadowlands. They, as a pantheon, they are the pantheon for Shadowlands, and Shadowlands is a realm that is constructed that is between real death and
It's almost a purgatory.
the constructed realm that we are in. And the
Right.
reason why Shadowlands was put out for the lore is so that we can get that idea on what the progenitors of all of this were, which is the first ones, and Zareth Mortis and stuff, right? Zareth Mortis is the engine room, right? It takes in anima from God knows where, right? And it is taking all this energy, and you as an individual, you come to the Shadowlands, and granted, for the game and the expansion, we went to these 5 or 6 different zones, right? But you as an individual, you'll go through whatever you go through here, but you'll basically get your own eternity for like the afterlife, right? And the Zareth Mortis engine creates that reality for it. This motherfucker, like, sorry, I shouldn't cuss on this thing, but this engine creates an entire reality for people. Just keeps on doing that, right? And the Shadowlands that you see, they're this huge thing, right? But the first ones generated all of these planes of existence to formulate some sort of system of order. And so there's true death out there. True death is like it's out there. It's part of the system, it's part of the universe, it's part of how things are supposed to work. But the way things are being strangleheld by technology that the first ones created is that there are these loops, these life cycle loops that happen. And just like Zareth Mortis is in control of the death realm there's another one for each of the realms, each of the sections of existence that we have throughout the lore. And the first ones constructed those Zareth places so that they can basically manage and like conjure up more existences and stuff to like
And
support each section.
And given how poorly the lore of Shadowlands is received, until we receive more of it, very little of it can be confirmed beyond what we see repeated.
Yeah, we
Right.
can't. We don't get anything.
They definitely have already retconned many things about it. Also,
Yeah.
to add to it, Argus is what broke his soul. For whatever reason, wasn't supposed to go through the
That was the
Shadowlands or
plan.
something, but it did, and then that's what causes the Arbiter to break.
The Arbiter's not supposed to process anything that isn't like a mortal soul, which is what we
But
are.
I think it was the corruption of Argus's soul that was also a big thing.
Sort of, but basically what had happened was like
Sort of.
the corruption is what basically flags it in a way to be killed in the way that was needed for it to go to the Shadowlands. Because had that process not happened, sure, I guess we could have came and went toe to toe with it and killed it, but some other system would have happened.
In Zareth Mortis, you see technically where like Argus's soul ultimately made it there, and the implication seems to be his soul would have been imprinted on one of those robots, but it was corrupt. So it doesn't seem like he was never meant to be there. It's just when you die as a Titan, the implication seems to be you pass on and become a whatever they're called of some realm in the Shadowlands.
Wow,
That
okay.
seemed to be
So
the
like
implication
Titans can
I got.
die. And
Yeah, Titans can absolutely die. We just haven't really ever seen it happen yet. Like there's technically
Sargeras is only imprisoned, we didn't kill him.
Yeah, Sargeras is imprisoned by Illidan, and what remains of the souls of the Titans that he like the rest of the Pantheon, that he nearly killed. And there's one soul of a Titan that we've never really encountered, which is that void corrupted world soul that he destroyed without permission that sort of started everything.
Right, like Sargeras, like he split a planet in half, right? Like because he was mad.
Yeah, like in the first Chronicle book, he finds a world corrupted, fully corrupted by void. The world soul's corrupted, and it's on its way to hatching. And instead of asking the Pantheon or trying to cleanse it, he just cleaves it in two. And then that's when he's like, there are horrors beyond our understanding and our ability to stop. And then they have the fundamental disagreement where they think they can stop it through enforcing and applying order. He thinks it just needs to be burned away and destroyed.
I mean, they were created for order, right? And they the way that they were created kind of cascades down.
Well, the Titans weren't necessarily created through order. They are created through arcane. I don't know if there's how their inherent creation works, but they're beings of extreme arcane energy and purity.
Don't they have there's like order magic, right? Like that they have there's like this sort of emphasis that Titans
I don't think there's anything specifically described as order magic. At least in the cosmology, you have light, void, death, life, arcane, and
Fell.
Yes, fell.
Which kind of pulls off of death. But
Right, and then they're kind of like on opposite sides. So like if you combine light and life, you might get order magic, but the Titans themselves are beings of pure arcane power. Like that's a lot of what the Well of Eternity tells you when, because it's technically Azeroth's blood, a chunk of Azeroth, and it's what gave Illidan his pure arcane power during the initial Legion invasion. Before he
Okay.
did all the Sargeras stuff.
So they just embody order, right? Because it's like they have there's this
They
sort of like
embody,
embodiment.
yeah, they embody the idea of order, and if you assume the first ones are still a separate entity, they would have probably learned it or had that imprinted on them in some fashion. Because the way you think of world souls and worlds is they're almost like eggs waiting to hatch, and then when they hatch as a titan, the world is destroyed, but a immensely powerful arcane being is born, and they've never really explained too much before what happened before Amon Thul wakes up, and he's the first one allegedly that it happens to. If the first ones are applied, then that they haven't explained it, but then that sort of changes the perspective. But their idea is that they're still beings of arcane energy, but they believe in order, whereas the opposite end of the spectrum believes or understands that chaos is a necessary aspect.
Yeah, there seems to be a sort of idea of like a lot of order from the first ones, and with like the idea of like Shadowlands sitting in between what like the natural order of real death would be, and it kind of recycles all of that. Like it like it catches everything, and then it has like a sort of purpose, right, in air quotes, for these souls. But we've seen, down within the Maw and with some of the machines that they have there and the magic that um like with the rune magic that they have, right? What is they had a name for that. It was like domination magic, right?
Domination is a magic specifically related to the jailer. I don't know if all of their rune
The
magic
jailer
could be
had
called
gotten that
domination
from the
magic.
dude he imprisoned. And the dude he imprisoned
Yeah, the
had gotten that
Primus,
from the
or
first
the
ones.
Primarch.
Yes, the Primarch had gotten that from the first ones. And so he
But not all of their rune magic is domination, I don't think.
No. But the jailer only cared about domination runes. So
Yeah,
there
it
was like
seems the
so
most
there was like a
powerful.
large library of magic that the first ones had, which is what they used to create all of this stuff. Because like basically, I think the idea that the Primarch was trying to say was that the first ones, they were, just like these runes were made, and that's what the jailer wanted out of him. But they had more magic that was like this that could do incredible things just like this. Like they could just conjure realities, like the Zereth Mortis and stuff, right? Is with their kind of magic, with is like, I don't know if that stuff was rune based or anything, but whatever technology or magical technology or anything that the first ones are creating is on an order of magnitude higher than anything that even like the Titans create or that the Shadowland constructs have access to. And so what even the Primarch had was like a shadow of what they had access to them. But the jailer did only want domination runes from him.
So I think with the first ones, I think like the first ones, they just fundamentally break a lot of what they put forward about the cosmology. But I almost feel like the first ones aren't going away, but I almost feel like they'll be retconned to just be Titans.
Just Titans 1.0 and the
Yeah,
Titans we know are
maybe
2.0.
Titans that predate Amon Thul, or just it was the Titans they just didn't know the names. Like they just there seems to be so much about that lore. Like a lot was written, and a lot of it just contradicts other stuff that we already know.
Well, we got
And
Metzen back, so maybe some of the stuff starts to get cleaned up in the next few expansions, right?
that's what I mean. Is a lot of BFA and Shadowlands was written by a guy whose sole lore idea was his boner for Sylvanas.
Dude, I would have wrote all that too because I love her.
Well, I think Shaq even mentioned
He would have had the same problem.
he saw
Yes.
somewhere, it was a video or something, where the person who was writing that came from some other MMO, and
Yeah, all the stuff. Yeah, once Chris Metzen left, even the Heron Deer, and some of the stuff from the War Within and Dragonflight. A lot of that lore came from a guy who worked on another MMO, and even like a lot of the names and stuff are very similar from the lore that he had created on this other MMO. And I can't. It's not on. I can't think of the guy's name or what the MMO that he was working for, but definitely pulled some of his own stuff into the game.
Well, that's naturally going to happen if you don't enforce the idea they're shepherds of what exists versus trying to leave their own stamp all over everything. And I do remember many articles because it was a big deal that in the transition somewhere from the end of Dragonflight to early War Within, Metzen came back, and that's why the War Within story was as janky as it was and as different from what was promised as it was. And so he's still, I think, working to correct what is essentially
Kingdoms.
a lot of the lore that is his baby.
This is now a lore podcast.
Yeah. It's Steve
Like we all
Steve
know he had an end
Danuser.
goal in mind.
It was Steve Danuser.
Steve
Steve
Danuser, yeah.
but he's been
Kingdoms
with
of
Blizzard a long
Amalur.
time.
So Kingdoms of Amalur, he took a whole bunch of lore from that, and it kind of pulled into
2012 RPG.
into World of Warcraft.
He was with Blizzard for a long time, so it's really kind of disappointing that he would pull something like that. But again, I think his major thing is he just wanted to simp for Sylvanas. He even gave himself a self-insert.
What was the self-insert?
Athanos.
Oh, wow, really?
Like the modern personality is like Nathanos exists as far back as classic as a character, and he always has had a relationship with Sylvanas. But Danuser took that to such an extreme level in BFA and Shadowlands, or mostly BFA. So the World Soul or whatever itself is a woman. So I'm just assuming that's your hint that whoever gets the power of the World Soul will be a woman.
Daddy, is that going to be you?
No.
You're not going to be the hero character and just going to take on the vessel and just be... Yeah, there's going to be all of us.
I've saved every expansion except for Dragonflight and Shadowlands, so I guess. I hated Shadowlands. Like, I'll say I barely played Dragonflight. I played Shadowlands for less than a week and was like, this is ass, and turned it off. I just
You didn't
started
like
it.
the Feywild?
I didn't even pick the Covenant. I hated it that bad.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this sucks.
I love the cosmic trees in the Fey
Back.
area.
I mean, I went back and started the Covenants on my Hunter before War Within ended because I was like, oh, like mounts and stuff, and it's been an okay story. It just
Well, the biggest issue with Shadowlands is simply the fact that you picked the Covenant and 3/4 of the game was now locked.
Yeah. I
Like,
could
you
see
just get rid of that.
I started, I did the Fey Covenant, and then I did a lot of the stuff for the mall, and was like, wow, I would have really hated all of this, running on foot and all that good stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
Bro,
yes, I hate
see,
that.
I liked it for the thematic thing, but
Oh, it was very
it
thematic.
sucked to actually play.
That was... Here's the thing. This is about Shadowlands. I remember right when it happened and through the whole expansion, everyone always talked about, like, genuinely how much the Maw sucked. And as much as I always did not like that, in the back of my head, I was always, like, very much in agreement with the design because it's supposed to be hell, right? It's supposed to be very uncomfortable to be there, and it always was. I don't know if they stumbled into that and then just ran with it, or if somebody was really like, let's make this suck.
Were you a tour guide?
I was a rogue.
Y'all played Burning Crusade, right? And you played like Wrath of those games either. And they were some
You
of the
had
best.
mounts.
Wrath of Lich King was probably one of the best expansions in my
Still had
opinion.
mounts though,
Ground
bro.
mount.
You didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
anything. At
But
least
I
on a
mean-
druid, you can go
And
mount
the
form, I think, right?
and the mob density wasn't like compacted into one
The
small
Maw isn't
zone.
a huge. It's not that big of a place.
Yeah, but
That's a
everywhere
rock.
you
It's
are is
not.
compacted with mobs.
Yeah, they made it really uncomfortable to be there. and they made
Like it definitely seems like that was the point.
It had friction, but I think it had too much friction. There's supposed to be friction. You're supposed to not just get everything handed to you. I like having to try for things, but like right now, right, we have a lot of really good systems. We don't have nearly as much friction right now in the way that we play the game on a daily loop than we did then. Right, like it's
Yeah.
way different now, and I think right now is a really good system, and then was a not good system.
Yeah, they've definitely learned.
If you were doing something similar conceptually, I think a good amount of applied friction is good. But right now, we're not really doing anything that's conceptually you're fighting your way to free unjust souls from hell.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of crazy lore stuff that they have in the game.
I think the Void Storm, if you couldn't fly or you had to earn
Oh,
flying, would be like the bit of friction that would make sense because the Void Storm is also meant to be hell.
That was my least favorite area in this expansion to level in.
The skybox,
It's-
however, is
Though
awesome.
the skybox is 10 out of 10.
If you look out to the edge, and you can see like an entire planet of what it is that we're dealing. And if you don't like the Void Spire or like the Void Storm, like just knowing that they built that into the skybox, you can see it just kind of just goes off to the horizon. I love that. They don't do that. We don't have any like planet-sized, like scaled looks at horizons like that in any
I
other
mean,
place.
I still think Seed of the Pantheon is better because you can look out and see all kinds of destroyed worlds, void corrupted worlds, all
I gotta go
that
back there
stuff.
and check that out.
You absolutely
raid,
do if
right?
you haven't. Yeah, that's the raid. The end of the raid.
In Legion, yeah, because when I was doing Legion remakes, I was like, they were speed running through everything because I never looked at anything.
Yeah, just that sucks. Yeah, if you solo it yourself, just before you kill Argus, just look out at all you can see, and it's really sick.
Legion
The
was
Void
fun.
Storm is probably on that level. You might give it a few points higher just because it looks like shit is closer, which just makes it look, cooler, more detailed and stuff.
The art team in Shadowlands, I thought, did a really good job.
I would
regarding, like, the
agree,
areas.
except for when it came to the Maldraxxus, because I really feel like they tried to go for that old Scourge vibe, but they didn't hit the mark.
Yeah. The new skybox for, I mean, all of the Eastern Kingdoms apparently, because you can see that Sunwell laser from really far. It's like Booty Bay.
I mean, that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, but they've never done that with the skybox before, and I just think that's so cool. I love what the art team is doing.
I assume that is probably, to make it visible that far, is probably some kind of tech.
Yeah, some new tech. I'm loving it.
But
Speaking
it
of
makes
new
perfect
tech,
sense.
So yeah, speaking of new technologies, new systems, we have to just wrap it up on the last news item that we have here. We have the new Abyss Anglers event, and there's a pet. Yeah, there's a highlight that comes from that. It's a capybara pet, and it's in a little bubble, and he looks adorable. And I didn't really even think that I was going to play this mode, but I do want that pet, so I'm going to do it for that. Do any of you guys ever like collect pets or go after them when they're available in these events?
Yeah.
I used to collect
That's it.
pets in Wrath. I haven't really since, but I do the odd time. I probably won't collect this one, but I am a huge fan of the capybara as an animal.
Yeah, they're great. Daddy, I heard you say you like pets.
Yeah, I hate that you can't, like, pet battling is not really a thing right now. You just walk up and, like, catch it, like, on the spot.
Oh, for the new zones, yeah, but I
Yeah.
think the system for pet battling is still in the game.
Yeah, it is. It's just,
It's not the same because they don't support it
Yeah.
anymore for those of us who did it.
that was a
Like,
way
I
that, a good way to level, too, because you would go around to the zones and get the pets and pet battle for,
I think a lot of people felt like it was very similar to like archaeology, where not a lot of people engage with it.
and I miss that. Like, when I came back for War Within, I was like, ooh, like, there's going to be new archaeology pets. There's going to be all kind. Nope.
I would think more people engaged with pet battles than archaeology, but I don't know. I just think Blizzard on some
I did a
level
lot.
like archaeology has a lot for old lore.
Yeah.
Pet battle, I can see like if not a lot
But
of
last
people
time
are
I did a lot
engaging
was
in it.
Cataclysm. Like the
But-
first time it came out.
but it
I
doesn't
really-
seem hard to do. Like
It
to
just takes
carry
time.
like it doesn't seem like it would take much to carry the pet battle system forward, even if they didn't add a lot of new stuff to it. Archaeology, I could see them adding a lot of shit too, but the game has a lot of lore.
Yeah, that was the cool part about. I thought that was like kind of the whole point of archaeology was to give you lore, but we have Lore Walker Cho and some other stuff for lore now that they're going with.
I thought they were gonna do something with the Dragonflight Explorers League. I thought they were gonna start pushing back into archaeology with that, because I thought a lot of those, like the missions where you climbed up on the mountains and stuff like that, I thought it was kind of leading into that, and that they were going to get there in the War Within, and maybe even push forward in this expansion pack, now that you see Braun is not doing anything, but he's sitting there, he's got archaeology stuff when you go talk to him right now in the expansion.
The Explorers League did have a sort of setup that seemed really similar to like the stuff we had for archaeology before, but we had the Explorers League heading up archaeology before, right? Like in the expansions that they were relevant. Like you would go to those people.
Not really that I recall. I think they
Like in
were
Cataclysm,
involved.
they had like a grouping of Explorers League people in the center pillar that was in the was it the Stone Core
Yeah.
or where the Stone
Yeah, I
Core
thought
was? Like there was
that's
a
why I
bunch
thought,
of
yeah,
Explorers League people all kind of gathered up. Granted, that was when archaeology came out, right?
I thought those
Like
were
it is.
Earthen Circle dudes.
was it the Earthen
Maybe
Ring?
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like
I
the
thought we had
dudes with the world pillar and all that.
yeah, we had some people on like both sides.
There might
There
have been
was
some
like
Explorers Leagues
faction
dudes there, but it was definitely the Earthen
Earthen Ring.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. The Earthen Ring's like the shaman dudes.
But I think
Shaman
the Explorers
Council.
League or Explorers Guild, whatever the thing in Dragonflight was, I definitely think that is one of the things Blizzard was going to develop on and then just didn't.
I thought it was going to be a move into archaeology, or it was like just like another variation of it, right? They could have gone back into archaeology with it. Maybe if it was more popular. I don't know if they maybe a lot of people didn't do those. I did the dailies. I like to climb the mountains and the steps and pick some stuff up off the mountain and do these
Yeah, I like
these
the
little
dailies a
dailies.
lot too. Yeah. And they were nice. They're a nice break from the combat dailies, right? Like it's sometimes they were a little buggy, but they were a nice break.
Yeah.
All right, so we've actually gone over time. Well, I don't know. We don't really have like a time limit, but this is going to be the longest episode that we've ever published, so that's pretty cool. Um,
New record.
yeah, but yeah, I wanted to get this wrapped up. I did want to announce that we are still recruiting, and if anybody's listening, you want to try to join up, you can reach out to Shakatan on raid logs. He's available there. We'll ask him in a minute to get his gamer tag or what do they call it? Blizzard
BattleNet.
ID, BattleNet ID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll get that in a minute right now. But wanted to let you know we are still recruiting for each role. We're not in Mythic yet, but we just down Mythic or Heroic Illyria, and we're working on Heroic Midnight
Actually,
Falls.
we also downed Heroic Bellow Ren too.
Yeah, so now we're on Heroic Midnight Falls. So that'll
Yep.
be something we'll progress through, and I mean maybe we're going to be jumping into Mythic Voidstorm, Chimeras at least.
I would assume Chimeras because the more weeks we have and the sooner we get Mythic Gaze in our vault, the
Yeah, I was
better.
gonna say getting a Mythic Gaze on the team, like a few of them. I mean, didn't we run a raid
I
and we got like
don't
3 of them to
recall
drop?
that happening, but I don't
2 or 3.
recall that happening.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 dropped in one night. Is pretty awesome.
Were those bonus rolls?
No, it was right before the bonus rolls came out.
Well,
was a week
definitely
before
with the bonus rolls now, like getting Chimeras down on Mythic and getting people because that seems to be best for basically everybody,
Yep.
including some healers. That it makes sense to kill that boss because we may not see many drop, but between the new Void cores and then potentially getting a second Mythic boss for a vault slot, it'll be huge to getting that trinket in the hands of the people.
Yeah, I think being able to farm at least one mythic boss, it'd be really good for the team with the
It
void
would
cores being able
also
to
be
spend them.
really solid. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. It'd also
No,
be
you're good.
really solid for recruiting, as I've said before. That's the first thing people look at after raid times and days is your current progress and where that measures up to where they are and where they want to be.
Yeah, Chimeras is really it's the gaze. It's all seer's gaze. Like
Yeah, it
it's
is. It really
it's
is.
that it's really gonna do it.
But it's also a nice one boss raid. It's not terribly complicated. You can go there, grind it out, work on it after we clear the other stuff. I don't know how you want to divide it up. Like if we wanted to do that while progressing heroic Lura, depending on the number of people we have. But yeah, I would say like I'm definitely in favor of grinding out the mythic chimeras as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're only gonna be getting stronger, right? Everything is only as hard as it's gonna be right now. Um, so yeah, so if anybody's interested in joining up, you can join the Discord in the link and go ahead and hop into our. I think we have a join the guild channel. I know it's in here. Join second attempt. So just hop in there, drop your information and stuff, and we'll look it up and get you in. Also, wanted to let you guys know if you want to support the show, the best way is through our Patreon. Every bit helps us keep the lights on, improve the production, and keep this going every week. The link for that is patreon.com/last attempt pod. And if you can't spare the gold, that's totally fine. You can still help in a big way at no cost. Head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Give us a listen. If you know anybody else who plays World of Warcraft or even used to play World of Warcraft, send this to them. We usually just talk about a lot of the things that we like in the game, except for this week, of course. There was a lot of bugs. That's not our fault, but we are going to report on it. So just go ahead and send that out to people. It helps us out a lot. If you have any opinions or you have any ideas about some of the stuff that we said in here, maybe we made a mistake on something, maybe got some of the lore bit wrong and you know about it, go ahead and just drop us a comment on Spotify,
We'll
Apple
take
playlist.
all your lore abuse.
Yes, yeah, we got anything wrong, just start a conversation. Either hop in the Discord with us or go on YouTube, any one of these places, and you can comment. We do have socials: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and we are at Last Attempt Pod on each of those socials. So if you find us on one of those, you can send us comments, messages, any of that there. If we get anything, we usually try to find those and read them off on the podcast. So it's a cool way to get featured on here, right? So we like to end this with letting people like plug their personal socials and such. We want to start with our guests here. Daddy, do you have any socials? You would like people to know where people can find you online, or if there's like maybe you like stream on Twitch sometimes or YouTube or something.
I don't stream WoW or anything right now, but I have a Twitter. She Warcraft, I think, is the handle for the Twitter World of Warcraft account. So I
Okay,
try to be active on there. I try to make little memes. They're not good, but
nice. I'm gonna follow you on the
Oh
podcast Twitter.
God,
So you're gonna be one of the people the podcast follows.
there you go.
Hell yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll get that link from you, and then I'll have it in the description there for you for the listeners. Kane, where can the people find you at online?
I don't I don't stream often, but I do have a Twitch. Last time I streamed was in like January or something. I do a lot of horror games, horror indie games in general, and obviously World of Warcraft. You can find me at Canadian1337, KAYNADIAN 1337.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll also have that link in the description for you guys, so you can follow that and check them out. Shakatan, why don't you start off with that BNet ID for us, so that
Yep.
if people wanted to get a hold of you directly and ask about recruitment, they can message you.
For sure. Yeah. We were 40. I just wanted to put some stats out here too. We were 49th ranked on our realm in Manaforge Omega last season, and we are currently ranked 189 in our realm. We're 8 out of 9 heroic, but I'm sure we're gonna get that boss down. And moving into Mythic, you can contact me at Zaelthras1691. That's ZAELTHRAS number 1691. And I will definitely get back to anybody who messages me. And yeah.
All right, and Templar, well, actually, we have one more link from you. You got that SoundCloud link for us, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. SoundCloud.com/DiggySpiff. DIGGYSPIFF. Yeah. It's spiffy. Can you dig it?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, and the intro song that we have for the podcast, that was Shakatan.
Yep.
Nice work.
I'll be working on music tomorrow, actually, with a friend. So
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah,
I hope to hear some tracks soon.
check out my SoundCloud, bro.
yeah, check it out, dude. He's got some stuff on there, and he's gonna be
There's
dropping
not
some
too
stuff
many
soon
on
too.
there, but there's some.
And Templar, you have a really easy to spell URL for us to follow, right? To find you on our raid nights.
Yep. If you want to watch us while we raid, I stream on Twitch, and you can go directly to my Twitch page by just typing in thehumandistraction.com, all one word, all spelled the way it should be, and it'll take you straight there and give us a look.
All right, and
Temp's pro status on his link.
oh, for sure, dude. So easy to get to his.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine is clever. Like anytime people see my Twitch name, I always get a comment, "Oh, that's clever. That's so funny." But saying it out loud and spelling it to people is always like, I wonder if that causes me more problems than it solves.
You gotta get yourself your own domain. That's the smart way to go. Because I think your Templar's your Twitch is actually Templar Ivanhoe, right?
Yeah, but of course
And
you
that's
have
harder
to
spell.
yeah. Plus, I am a human prot paladin, aka a little human distraction. So
I like it. It's like my prop paladin condom name story.
jeez.
Yeah. Okay, and you guys can find me on twitch.tv/Squirrelthug_. And yeah, I'm still trying to stream. I'll get there eventually. I try to stream on our raid nights, but haven't done it yet. I gotta decorate this room or something. I'm making excuses.
Speaking of, if anyone does check out my stream, I am always down for ideas, comments, ways to make it look not so crap.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Go in there and give them some constructive criticism. And
Or unconstructive. I'll take all the shit talk too.
Yeah, yeah. Get in there with that criticism. Get in there real good with it. So, also, I should probably share my BattleNet as well because, and I don't want to oversell it too much, but I'm kind of a big deal now. And so is Templar Ivanhoe, because we, as an announcement, I guess we should make this now. We've recently been promoted to officers in our guild. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
yeah,
surprised
you already
guys
forget?
didn't do that at the beginning of the episode, bro.
I totally forgot until right now when you were sharing your BNet, and I was like, maybe I should do that.
Things start catching fire and falling apart. We know who to blame.
Right. So you guys can get contact me at on my BNet. It's Skyurus, SCIURUS, number or hashtag 1916. And so yeah, if you just message me on there, I'll see it either in game or I'll see it on the messenger that pops up, and then we can have a chat about joining up. And that's going to be it for us. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening. For anybody who comments or anything or leaves anything for us to read, we really appreciate it. Any of the support that we get for this has been really great. I've looked at the numbers for the stats for this. We've got a lot of people listening on all of our platforms. YouTube not so much, but we'll probably get there eventually, especially when we maybe lean into more of like the video casts and doing some live things eventually. But either way, we really appreciate all of our listeners. It's been really great to just be able to do all this for everybody. And then to our guests, really appreciate you coming by, Daddy. It's great. It's taken a little bit to get you on here, but a couple weeks, but we're really glad to have you here.
You.
And of course, really glad to have you in the guild. And Kane, also great to have you here. We worked something out with the sort of a late night recording. I guess you can't tell right now because we're this is gonna get probably dropped on like Tuesday morning, but we started recording at like 9 p.m. like our raid times, and it's like midnight right now, so at least PST. So yeah, it's great to have you in here. Great that we got a
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed. Hopefully, I can hop on again for these chats. But yeah, I mean, feel free to just like pick a time in the future because I just went with raid time because it was what was easiest.
yeah,
But yeah, I
it makes
mean,
sense.
in the future, just you can pick a time if you want it earlier, more. You want to try and get more of a live audience.
Yeah,
It's all
eventually I think we're probably gonna aim for like closer in the early evening.
well, 'cause
If we
I
start
imagine,
doing-
yeah, in the future you probably want to set time and stuff. But I mean, like, I'm happy to join again. Love to be a guest again. Had a lot of fun. But yeah, I can definitely try to make earlier times or rearrange my schedule a little because I don't have a lot of social things on the weekend these days. Getting old.
Yeah, no, hey, I feel it. I got a family. I just stay home on the weekends, so so this always works out. I can just like pull away to do this for a couple hours. So this is always fun. It's great to have you, and of course, great to have our primary guest hosts, or not guest hosts. I keep calling you guys guest hosts. You guys are our hosts, Shakatan and Templar Ivanhoe. We have great hosts here, our co-hosts here for the show, and they show up every week, barring like some important thing that they have to do or whatever, right? But very, very definitely consistent with this role here, and I genuinely appreciate it, and I'm sure the audience appreciates it too. So that's been great. So yeah, that's gonna be us. I wanted to say see you later, and yeah, have a good one.
Yep. Later.
Take care.
Peace out.
You got to say bye, Daddy.
Bye.
Bye, Daddy.